Hey everyone, today's topic is the 3 types of people who would really benefit from life coaching. And when I first heard that my sister is a life coach and she's working with clients and she recommended life coaching to me, I was initially like, well, isn't that for really rich people who want to divest their money? And basically I thought it was just all like monetary stuff and very first world problems of like, oh, I'm so rich and there's nothing fulfilling in life after I got all the money, so what do I do? So that was my conception of life coaching. But now that I've experienced life coaching in the perspective of a client and also the perspective of a coach, I think there are definitely a group of people who would really benefit extra from the life coaching approach. And so I want to talk about each one of them in this video. So number one is professionals and successful people who got everything together in life, but except for one thing. And this is kind of similar to how I first understood life coaching, but yeah, when you're a professional or you're successful in life, you have ideas on how to navigate life. You're kind of you know what to do. You know your life, you know your job really well, you have professional domain expertise in something, but at the same time, there's one thing that for the life of you can't really, work out by yourself. So for example, I was a software engineer and, I've been doing it for about 10 years and then, computer programming is fine, big data stuff, set up clusters. I have domain knowledge in that, but my problem was I didn't really know how to deal with people because I was judging people all the time inside my head. So I would go into a meeting and then, I want to network and get to know people. And then, I want to expand my, group of the people I can, bounce back ideas with. But when I'm in the meeting and those people are talking and half the time I'm thinking, wow, this person really sucks. And that was really stressful for me because I couldn't really form any meaningful connections outside of my home, right? All I had was my wife and my dogs. And so family is fine, but then I'm spending the majority of my day at work and I'm having a horrible time at work because I hate everybody. So it turned out to be life coaching turned out to be very beneficial for that because I could apply, my experience in succeeding in one area to the part that I suck at. And, for a lot of people, it's going to be weight loss. So you're an executive and, you got everything figured out and you're very well respected in your field, but then you just can't seem to lose weight. Or it can be about mental health, general depression, or, you have everything under control and life is really good, except you have a really bad relationship with your children and you want to address that. Maybe you have a really bad relationship with your spouse. So if your life is overall going really great, but then there's this one thing that's really dragging you down, I think life coaching can be a really great option for you, especially because you're gonna be able to afford a lot of the life coaching options just because you're successful and you probably have some money you can invest in yourself. So number two is when you're about to make a big change in your life. So when I was going through my training, I noticed that a lot of people who are interested in coaching or interested in becoming a coach had gone through a very significant life change. And so one of them is divorce. Another one is having a child with a disability. Another one is moving to a different continent. Another one is cutting off ties with the people you knew. And so when you're about to have these really big changes, sometimes you want to understand if the changes that are about to come, you're ready for it. Sometimes you want to really evaluate if you really want to be making those drastic changes in your life. So taking the example of a divorce, maybe after coaching, you find out that, a lot of the marital problems that I had turned out to be not really my partner's fault, but it was more of my thought problem. So when I address that, I can have a really meaningful relationship with my spouse without changing my spouse. So that's a really good example of how before a big life change, hiring a life coach can help you sort out the priorities. And even if you decide, let's say this example I'm gonna use moving, and I feel like I'm stuck in Los Angeles and maybe I want to move to a new destination that I've never lived in before, maybe like Brazil, maybe I want to live in Sao Paulo, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think that will really make me happy because I'm sick and tired of living in LA. But then maybe after my life coaching sessions, I would be like, okay, so it really wasn't the location where I'm living at. It was just me feeling unfulfilled. And so if I can find a way to feel fulfilled here, then I don't really need to move, right? And so, or it can also go the other way. Maybe you can be like more motivated to make that big change because now you're clear of all the but what if I hate it in Brazil? What if I don't like living in Brazil, right? So when you get your priorities straight and you clear out all the distractions in your life, you can be, I wanted to move to Brazil, but I thought moving was gonna be a hassle, and maybe I don't speak Portuguese, but that was gonna be a problem. But after I really reprioritized my thoughts in my life, I really want this change. And for this really exciting chapter of my life, I can afford to learn Portuguese. I can afford to try out this really daunting thing because I think that is what I'm ready for in the next stage of my life. So that's how coaching, when you're about to make a really big change in your life, can help you either help you go through that change or avert that change completely. And the third one, I think, is, this is my personal belief, but I think young adults can really benefit from coaching, especially because when you're a young adult, you are most likely to have separated from your parents. I mean, you're now starting independence. Maybe you live with your parents, and that's fine. If you're an American, you kind of, start the phase of living alone as you go to college. But in Asian cultures or African cultures, it's actually really common for you to continue living with your parents until you marry. Just because you live with your parents, it does not mean you can't start being emotionally independent. So independence is a lot of different things, right? And freedom is a lot of different things. When you reach adulthood, you can sign your own lease. You can get any kind of job, assuming that you qualify and you get through the interviews. There's nothing legally that prevents you, like child labor laws, from working. There's nothing that prevents you from living somewhere because housing is supposed to be equal, right? And you have to pay taxes and you have to do adult stuff. You have to set up your retirement account and you have to think about those things. But those are the logistic parts of being an adult. Another part is the inside part. If you're a kid and you have a boo-boo, you cry. And then your parents put a bandage on you because you don't know how to take care of your wounds. And when you break your leg, your parents take you to the hospital because you don't know how to do that. You don't know how medical field works. And when you're feeling sad, your parents or your friends, they come to console you because you can't sort out the sadness by yourself. But what if you're 20 and you still rely on your parents to tie your shoes? What if you're 20 and you still rely on your parents to cut your fingernails? That would be kind of childish, right? So what if you're 20 and you continue to think that, I'm sad right now, so somebody needs to make me happy? A lot of people don't reach emotional adulthood until way later in their life, right? So what if you're 40 and you think that the world is making me sad and somebody needs to make me happy? What if you're 50 and you're like, I feel unsatisfied right now, so somebody needs to give me food? So being emotionally independent and being an emotional adult early in your adulthood will help you navigate so much of the struggles in your adult life because you know how to take care of yourself inside and out. When you're feeling frustrated, you don't wait for the world to make you not feel frustrated. You fix all your problems on the inside so that you don't feel frustrated. When you feel discouraged, you don't have to rely on your parents, your friends' approval and they're hyping you up. You can hype yourself up and pick yourself up and just be encouraged. So that's a skill. The earlier you get in your life, the beneficial it'll be in the long run. Because your life is finite. And the longer you spend being dependent on others, the less time you can spend being completely independent and basically living your own authentic life, which is kind of the big destinations of life coaching. So if you're one of these 3 groups, I would strongly recommend working with a life coach. You're looking at one right now and you can sign up for a consult call with me, and then if you feel like we're not a good match, I can always refer you to specialists who will better suit your niche. And I'll see you in the next video.